The brothers returned to Egypt. The famine continued, and when they had eaten the grain which they had brought from Egypt, Jacob said to his sons, "Go to Egypt and buy us a little food again." Judah said to him, "But the man told us we would get nothing unless we brought our youngest brother with us. If you will send our brother with us, we will go down and buy food. But if you do not send him, there is no use in our going." Jacob said, "Why did you even tell the man that you had another brother? Why did you do such a thing to your old father?" One of the brothers answered, "The man questioned us very carefully all about ourselves and our family. Is your father still alive? Do you have another brother? We were only answering his questions. How should we know that he would tell us to bring our brother to him?" "Let the lad come with us," Judah said, "and we will go to Egypt so that we will all be able to live and not die. You may hold me responsible for him. If I do not bring him back to you, I shall bear the blame forever. Look, if we had not waited this long, we could have gone to Egypt and come back twice already." Then their father said to them, "If it must be so, then take some presents with you and give the man, and take double the amount of money. Return the money that was put in your sacks. Perhaps it was a mistake. Take your brother with you and go. I pray that God will protect you and send back your other brother and Benjamin safely. If my children must be taken away from me, they must be taken away." So the brothers took presents and double the amount of money. They brought Benjamin with them and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw that Benjamin was with them, he said to one of his servants, "Bring these men to my house, and have a large meal prepared, for they will eat with me at noon." The servant brought the brothers to Joseph's house, and the brothers were afraid when he told them to enter. "It is because of the money that was put back in our sacks," one of them said. "He is going to make slaves of us and take all our goods." He said to the servant, "Sir, we came down the first time to buy food, and on the way back, when we opened our sacks, we found all the money which we had paid. So we have brought it with us to give to you again, and we have brought some other money to buy more food. Believe me, we do not know who put the money back in our sacks." The servant said, "Don't be afraid. Your God must have put it in your sacks for you, for I remember receiving your money." Then the servant brought their brother Simeon to them, and the 11 brothers entered the house. When Joseph came home, they brought him the presents they carried, and they bowed down to the ground. Joseph asked them, "Is your father well, the old man you spoke about before? Is he still alive?" One of them said, "Your servant our father is still alive, and he is in good health." And they all bowed deeply down to the ground again. Joseph looked at his brother Benjamin, his own mother's son, and he said, "Is this your youngest brother, who you spoke about before? I pray that God will be always kind to you, lad." Then Joseph hurried away, for his heart was so filled with love for his brother, he thought it would burst. And he needed a place where he could weep. He went into his room and wept privately. Then he washed his face and came out again. He controlled himself and said, "Let us eat now." Then they all sat down, and food was brought to them. And they ate and drank and were merry. And Benjamin's portion of food was 5 times as large as that of any of the others. Then Joseph said privately to his servant, "Place food in the men's sacks, and put back each man's money into his sack too, and put my silver cup in the sack of the youngest." And the servant did as Joseph told him. The following day the brothers started back. When they had gone a short distance, Joseph said to his servant, "Follow them, and when you come up to them, say, 'Why have you exchanged a bad deed for a good deed? Why have you stolen a silver cup from my master?'" When the servant reached them, he spoke to them as Joseph had commanded. And one of the brothers replied, "How can you say such a thing? Didn't we bring back the money which we found in our sacks before? Why then would we steal a silver cup? If you find it on one of us, you may kill that man, or make us all slaves." The servant replied, "Very well, let it be as you said." Then he searched their things, from the oldest man's to the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then the brothers were overcome with emotion, and they tore at their clothes in great anguish. They returned to the city, and when they arrived at Joseph's house, they fell down on the ground before him. "What did you think you could do?" Joseph asked them. "Did you think I could not outguess you?" "What can we answer?" Judah said. "What can we say? How can we make you believe us? God has made us look guilty. We are your slaves, all of us." Joseph said, "It is not necessary for all of you to be my slaves. Only the man in whose sack the cup was found. The rest of you may return in peace to your father." Then Judah came closer and said, "Let me speak a few more words, I beg you. Do not be angry with us, your servants, for you are as powerful as Pharaoh himself. You will remember you asked us if we had a father or a brother, and we told you that we had a father, an old man, and another brother, a child of his old age. And there were 2 sons of the same mother, and only the young one remains, and his father loves him very much. And you told us, 'Bring your brother to me so that I can see him.' And we told you that the lad could not leave his father, because if he did, the old man would die. But you told us we could not see you again unless we brought our brother with us. When we returned, we told our father, and after a while our father said, 'Go again and buy us a little food.' And we said, 'We cannot go unless we bring our youngest brother.' Then your servant, our father, said, 'You know that my wife Rachel had only 2 sons, and the first one left me. And surely he was torn to pieces since I never saw him again. And if you take this son from me, and he also is harmed, then I shall go to my grave with sorrow on my gray hairs.' And I promised my father that I would be responsible for the lad. I said if I did not bring the lad back, I would bear the blame forever. So let me stay instead of him, and I will be your slave. And let the lad go back with his brothers, for how could I return to my father without him? I could not stand the pain that my father would suffer." Then Joseph could not control his emotions any longer. He ordered the Egyptians that were there to leave the room. And when he was alone with his brothers, he wept aloud, and he said, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" But his brothers did not answer him, since they were confused by his appearance and did not understand. "Come near to me, please," Joseph said, and the brothers came near. "I am your brother, Joseph, whom you sold to men going down to Egypt. Do not be afraid or angry with yourselves, because you sold me so that I could come here. It was God's purpose. He sent me here so that I should be able to preserve your lives. This famine has lasted for 2 years, and it will continue for 5 more years. God sent me before you to keep you alive, so that you may have many descendants. It was not you who sent me here, it was God. God has made me ruler over all of Egypt, and second only to Pharaoh. Hurry and go back to my father and say to him, 'Your son Joseph says that God has made him powerful in Egypt. Go to him, and he will take care of you and your children and all their families.' And the brothers did so, and Jacob and his family came to live in Egypt. Joseph took care of them during the famine. And after the famine, the Pharaoh allowed them to settle in the land of Egypt, and they and their descendants continued to live there. They were all descendants of Jacob, who was also called Israel, and so they were known as the people of Israel.